You are listening to the Shopify Solutions Podcast, a podcast for Shopify store owners that brings you concrete examples on how to build and grow your e-commerce brand. Your host is Scott Austin. He owns a Shopify agency called Jade Puma. In this podcast, Scott will share his e-commerce insights and best practices with you.
Hey everyone, Scott Austin here. In this episode, I want to walk through some websites that I have no relationship with. I'm just going to do some searches on the internet and show you the results, and we'll just talk about them. So, as I record this, it's the 1st of February, so it's right in the middle of the Valentine shopping season. So what I did is I just picked a random tail query of Valentine's gift for wife of 30 years. So we're specific to Valentine's. We're specific on who the audience is, the recipient of the gift, wife, and then also very specific of 30 years. So this is a very tail query, and I would not imagine a lot of people search for this exact phrase. That said, I do believe that people, and you can see this in the search results Google post, there are lots of people doing lots of tail queries. And when you add all those up, the long tail, right, it ends up being a lot of search volume. But search isn't the only way that people find things. So I decided here to do a Google search, a Google shopping search, and a Google Gemini search. I think in the past on this podcast, I've shown you OpenAI or ChatGPT searches for products, and they actually bring products right in to their search results because Shopify and OpenAI are actually exchanging data on the back end, just like Shopify exchanges data with Google Merchant, which is powering these ads it's showing on the screen right now. And by the way, for those of you who listen to this in the audio version, there is going to be an accompanying video where if you prefer to watch along, you can do that, and that'll be shown in the show notes. So, same query, Valentine's gift for wife of 30 years that I did in Google search, Google shopping search, and then Google Gemini. And I'll show you what those results look like. And then I'll show you some websites that ranked on those three different channels for that query. And then we'll talk about, the experience, the shopping experience that we see on those websites. So let's start off with on, Google search, the search for Valentine's gift for wife of 30 years. Google decided, and correctly so, that this was a shopping query. So it actually shows sponsored products, which comes from Google Shopping. And then below that, it's got sponsored results. And then below that, there's, AI overview, and then, the organic results. And the amazing thing is, well, not amazing because it is such a tail query, but I would say that all of the results are correctly focusing on the fact that wife is usually a woman, right? And so it's very, feminine products being shown. Some of them are showing Valentine's products. Others are showing anniversary because it does say wife of 30 years. But, nobody gets the combination of all that because it is such a tail query. For example, the first organic result from Amazon is romantic Valentine's gift for wife. And then, there'll be other ones, what should I buy my wife 38 years for Valentine's Day? Spoil her this Valentine's. So they're very Valentine's focused. And then other times they'll be focused on the, 30-year anniversary side of things. But in this Google search, the Valentine results are pinging a lot more than the anniversary because I did put the keyword Valentine's in. So, that's a pretty good job there, but nothing is that applicable to the full query of Valentine's wife and 30 years. If I look at the Google Shopping results, pretty similar experience where a lot of it is, it's definitely focused on the wife side of things. Some of it is Valentine, some of it is anniversary, other is just wife. And, it's amazing to me the lack of depth in so many of these results. The stereotypical, things you would expect to be promoting for Valentine. A lot of jewelry, for example. Now, more on the product search, there's some watches showing up, kind of things. A little diversity in the types of products. A lot of handbags, but not a lot of breadth. Right now, let's look at Google Gemini. So Google's AI, and the first query I gave it was, give me some gift ideas for Valentine's 2026 for a wife of 30 years. And I gave it even more context. She doesn't like the traditional flowers, candy, or jewelry. And I think that what we're seeing in the world of AI is more in-depth queries being done because AI actually does a really good job with including all the information you give it into what it gives you back, right? Where what happens on the Google search side of things, it's a lot of it's driven by the shopping ads and the AdWord ads. So it's really not keying off of the information I give it as much as just finding random keywords in what I put in there. It's not trying to optimize for my exact scenario. Where, I look at the result that Gemini gave me for that, input that I just, read to you a moment ago, and there's a few paragraphs of information where it talks about, hey, you could do this type of thing, and it talks about experiences and memory gifts first, which is kind of cool, right? And the sentimental and legacy gifts, and then the practical luxury gifts and future facing gifts. So it bucketizes it and it puts it in a lot of context and does a really good job of that, which I think AI is really powerful at. I think AI is really good at summarizing information on the internet. So when you ask it a question like, "Hey, I'm looking at, doing X, Y, and Z. What are my options?" It actually it's more conversational than just, "Here's this product," or "Here's this service," or "Here's, this solution." It gives you more information, and then you can ask it another question. So I asked another question after it gave me all that information. I said, because a lot of it was also about experiences, and then I said, "Suggest some products," and it did that. It was more specific. But, here in Gemini, I'm not getting product listings as quickly as OpenAI offers them up. So then I had to say, all right, provide the links to these products and only show me brands that are on Shopify, just because I wanted to stay focused on Shopify stores. So, and then it gave me links to these different products. And, I think it did a really nice job. Right now, are these perfect? Do they say, 30 years married? No, they don't. But actually, a couple of them do, but it's taking more of that context and thinking about it a little bit more. And it also, didn't give me jewelry because I told it not to. It didn't give me flowers. It didn't give me candy and that kind of stuff. So AI has done a really good job. When compared to the Google search result, the AI results I think were much better. But I also, in fairness, I did give a little more context to AI because I knew it would take that into account. So then I ended up with 6 websites that we're gonna walk through, and I'm just gonna, show you each website, and every single one of them landed on a product page, which is what I asked AI. I asked AI for products, and in the Google search and Google Shopping, it ended up being product, links that I went to that were Shopify stores. Like in the Google search results, right? There was a lot in the organic search about, lists, right? Whether that list was from a media company or a marketplace, and I didn't click on those. So it's not like it was only products, but I'm just going to show you products that ended up being in the top results for these different starting of my shopping experiences through Google. So what I'm going to do is just going to walk through these 6 brands and 6 product pages. I think what I'm going to do is I'm first going to go through them, horizontally, one at a time about one thing, right? So the first thing I'm going to talk about on all 6 of them, and the first product is Lola Blankets. So the first brand is Lola Blankets. The product is, it's just called Rosewater, which is the color. So what I'm looking at is a blanket, and the product title. Well, I'm getting too deep into the product stuff already. I apologize for that. So the first thing that I want to look at is just the context that this brand has on the fact that it's Valentine's Day, right? So by the way, none of these products rank, or have, Valentine's in the listing. So we're going to look at that, and we're going to look at, well, what else do they say about Valentine's in case I want to see what their Valentine's marketing is, right? So the first thing I'm going to look at is the structured data on this page. So I have a tool called SEO Markup that is a Chrome plugin, and I'm just going to put in the word Valentine's to see if it shows up in the structured data, and it does not for this product. So this product has nothing about its data that says Valentine's. Now, if I look at their header, there's also no promotion of Valentine's up here. This brand is just blankets. Oh, it's also got like candles and stuff like that. They seem to be like, it would be a good Valentine's result, but for whatever reason, they're not marketing Valentine's in their header. Now I'm just curious. I want to go to their homepage and see if there's anything on the homepage about Valentine's. And there is not. And I actually think these guys are a pretty good Valentine's gift because they're these warm, fuzzy blankets. So, to me, when I come here and I see that, I'm like, well, are they sleeping? Are these guys, alive? Are they active? Are they merchandising? I would, not every brand should be promoting Valentine's, but I think this brand should, right? And probably every brand here should be because they are, popping in results. All right. So the second result is Arctic Angel. The product is a necklace. And once again, let's search the structured data for the word Valentine. And it does not have any results for the word Valentine. So there's nothing in the data on this page that says Valentine's. Just going back to the how tail queries aren't getting 100% accurate results. Now, I do expect that to change in the future, right? As you hear me talking about this, I'm saying, oh, I'm going to my structured data tool and I'm looking at this product structured data. Let me just explain a little bit about what structured data is, right? In Shopify, they're generating the HTML, right, that shows up on your website. But in that HTML, there's also structured data, which is what Google and other bots read. So they're not actually scraping the front end of the website as much as they are scraping the structured data, which is on that page, but we don't see it because it's in the back end of that page, right? So there's tools where I can just open it up and look at that structured data. I do think as our data gets more structured, it's one of those best practices that lots of brands are starting to do for SEO and for AI. Imagine, a piece of structured data like a meta field that said appropriate holidays. And in it was Valentine's, Mother's Day, and whatever other holidays are appropriate for this necklace, which is designed to be a gift for a wife. So they would also throw anniversary in there and things like that. Once that product has that structured data in it, then these engines, Google Search, Google Shopping, and Gemini, and all the other search and AI engines out there are going to be able to use that data and have more accurate results. Going back to what I was just talking about, where like a lot of these results are just, not 100% accurate. They're accurate, but not specific, if that makes sense. They are, good anniversary gifts for a, wife, but they're not a perfectly applicable for a wife of 30 years. Because, if it's a wife of 30 years, the woman's at least 50 years old. So then you can look for gifts for older women and things like that. So as our products get more structured data in them, I think we're going to see more and more specific results for your exact query, right? And that's why, in total aside, here at Jade Puma, our most recent app is called Datafy, and we're helping stores in that app create their structured data for their products to enrich their listings to be more competitive in these spaces. And I'll include a link to Datafy in the show notes. I'm probably going to do a full podcast episode on it here in the next month or two because we're really happy with how it's helping us with our brands that we're working with. And people are starting to download it a lot. And right now it's kind of in beta, which is why I'm not going to do a full episode about it yet, but it is free right now if anyone wants to try it out. So enough of my shameless plug there. The third one to look at, it's funny, it's the exact same necklace as the second one, but from another brand. Now in this one, let's go back to the other one. Once again, there's nothing in the header about Valentine's. So, this brand, Arctic Angel, which is, selling gifts, what they do on the homepage is they've got a banner. Our early bird Valentine's Day sale is here, so that's good. They've also got a Valentine's Day gift link in the header, but not in the header, but on the homepage. But as we just did, right? We didn't come into this store through the homepage. We came in through a product page, which is why I really like, having, a skinny banner, announcement bar, whatever you want to call it, that says, hey, check out our Valentine's Day specials or deals or offers or gift guide. And what I like to do is include that in the main nav also for that time frame of that shopping season. So that third brand is Prime Choice, same necklace as the second brand. Now this one in the header says last day for the Valentine's Day delivery with free shipping is February 2nd. So that's really good. They're creating a sense of urgency and they're being very specific about it. That said, there's no other Valentines. So in their navigation, they have an evergreen Valentines under occasion, but I would actually raise that to the top level and I would actually change the color of that to, draw people's eyes to it. Now, let's look at the structured data on this product and see if the word Valentine exists. And it does not. Like I said, I don't think any of them do by the time we're done with this. So the fourth brand is Pure Bliss. The product is Pure Bliss Luxury Towel Warmer. In the header, there is no Valentine's promotion of any sort. If I go to their homepage, there is no Valentine's promotion. Now, what these guys are doing is it's heat therapy and heated blankets and towel warmers and air purifiers. So maybe not the most likely to be Valentine's gifts. I could see these people not promoting Valentine's as much. Like the jewelry people, to me, it's a no-brainer. They should be. Let's look at the structured data on this one and see what we can find. And no Valentine. Oh, nope, this one has Valentine's. Wow, there we go. So headline, Valentine gift, review body. Oh, so the reviews had the word Valentine's gift in it. That is so cool. Um, so someone left a review about this saying that, they purchased it as a Valentine's gift, and that structured data popped it in, which is probably why this is one of the ones from AI, probably why AI picked up a towel warmer as a Valentine's gift. That's just amazing, right? The fact that your reviews can help you with tail queries. I absolutely love that we found that. The next one, Barabai, this is, or Barabi, I'm not sure how they say that. This is a cotton weighted blanket. They do have in their main nav Valentine's Day sale highlighted in a different color so it pops. They also have a take a quiz for their Valentine's Day sale up to 30% off, and a third one, Valentine's Day sale up to 30% off. So I would actually say they're a little over merchandising Valentine's with 3 different rows in their header with 3 different Valentine's things, but at least they're totally on the Valentine's. Now, let's look at our structured data on this one, and we've got nothing. And then we're going to go to our last of our 6 products. And this is Master and Dynamic is the brand. The product is the MW75, one of the worst product titles I've ever seen, which is an active noise canceling wireless headphones. They're $600 headphones. Nothing. So, and it looks like they're just electronics. Yeah, or just high end headphones. So, not surprised that they're not merchandising Valentine's in their header or in their homepage. Let's see if in the structured data, Valentine's popped at all, and no results. So, only one of the 6 products had in their structured data the word Valentine, which, goes to show that, in this world of long tail queries, there's a lot of opportunity to be more successful and stand out by having that structured data. Another shameless plug, go get that Datafy tool and start using it and, creating that structured data because it's going to help you be found as we get more and more specific about our queries. All right, let's go back through all 6 of these again. And all I'm going to do, I've done 2 episodes in the past couple weeks, and there's a third one coming about ADA, right? So I just want to look at the top level ADA compliance score for the product page that I'm on for each of these. We find it's really easy with the app that I'm using, which a couple of the people that I've interviewed have recommend called Wave. It's another Chrome plugin. We have found it's pretty easy. I just said really easy. I'm going to qualify that a little bit. It's pretty easy to get a score over 9.0. We can every time get our errors down to 0 and our contrast errors down to 0. And right now, with our brands, we're actually working on the alerts, not the errors, squashing errors pretty quickly. Now, that does sometimes take us, someone with web development skills who can crack open the code and fix things. But the point being, the goals here in my mind for these brands is to at least be over a 9 out of 10 through the Wave scorecard that it gives you and have 0 errors and 0 contrast errors. So we're going to look at Lola Blankets, and their score is a 8.5 out of 10. They have 0 errors and 2 contrast errors. So that's pretty good. Contrast errors are kind of a tough one for brands that have soft branding, and by soft branding, I mean with their colors, like this brand does, because the softer your colors, the harder it is to get good contrast. So not surprised that they have, 2 contrast errors. The next one, Arctic Angel, we're going to look at their Wave score. They have 7 errors and 4 contrast errors with a score of 7.5. So they obviously need to be doing some work there. And some of their errors are missing alternative text and then labels. Let's look at the next brand, which is the other necklace from Prime Choice. Their score is 7.4 out of 10, 5 errors, 7 contrast errors. So that's stuff they definitely need to be working on. So you can see here that, the ones that are working on their compliance and the ones that are not, right? It's pretty, if you have 5 errors and 7 contrast errors, they haven't thought about ADA compliance yet. If I look at Pure Enrichment, this is another soft brand from a color standpoint, so we'll see what happens with their contrast. They've got 4 errors and 68 contrast errors. Not surprising at all because they're brand, right? And it's one of those tough things where, they've got this nice soft gray for their text, but this nice soft gray, and they've got even softer gray for the price on a white background does not have the same contrast that you would have with black text. So it's one of those trade-offs you have to make. Optimize for the brand, or do you optimize for readability? That's a hard decision for lots of brands to make. So now we're going to look at Verity, another one with soft colors. So we'll see what happens with their contrast. They've got 56 errors, 63 contrast errors, a score of 2.8 out of 10. They definitely need some work there. And then Master and Dynamic, 24 errors, 6 contrast errors. If I remember correctly, only 2 of them were above or close to the 9.0. And this is fairly common, right? We're looking at smaller brands. We're looking at just Shopify stores and the ones that I was picking out. It's hard as a small brand to focus on that ADA compliance. What we've done here at Jade Puma is we actually just incorporated into everything we do now. Every time we touch a website, we just, click that button on the Chrome browser tool that we've added and just check the score. And we always, clear out all the errors. And then we also are working on alerts to keep that score as high as we can. We're also documenting that for our clients so they can use that if they need to in the future, if they have to deal with litigation. That's the horizontal things I want to go through with each of these stores of comparing, apples to apples across all 6. Now, what I want to do is I just want to go in and give a top level summary of what I think about just these product pages. Now, I'm no longer thinking about, hey, the keyword search was Valentine's and 30-year wife and that kind of stuff. I just want to look at it and ask myself, what do I think about their presentation? What feedback would I give them? And then you can listen to that and think about your product pages when we're doing that. So here in Lola Blankets, remember I said before the product name was Rose Water, and that's actually the color, I think, is what's driven by this. This page, they've got nice photography, a couple different views, a lifestyle image. Oh, they've got a really nice one of a person holding the blanket up in front of them. So all you see is their feet and their hands, and you can tell their hands are outstretched. So you can basically, this is a big blanket, right? That's a fabulous way of doing that. I like that. So they got some, different types of photography. It's nice photography that they're doing. And this product comes in lots of different colors, lots of them. And they're showing swatches for all these different colors. But here's the thing, it's like they've got the first thing is Lola X Aviator Nation. And it's like a heading around these swatches. And then there's Lola Originals. And then there's collaborations. And I have no idea. I'm going to guess now that I'm thinking about it. Aviator Nation is something. It's a brand of something that they're working with, I think. Right. So let's click on the first. And by the way, there's lots of these are unavailable. It's amazing how many are not in stock. But I'm going to click on one of these Aviator Nation ones. It actually takes you into a separate product. So the swatches are leading to different products. Yeah, their product title is just Red, White, Bolt. The product titles are horrible from an SEO standpoint. I don't understand what that Aviator Nation thing means. Now there's a bolt on it. Maybe Aviator Nation is some brand with this lightning bolt. I don't know. Maybe their audience does. So my ignorance might not be the most important thing to think about here. It's just confusing because then they've got originals and collaborations. And like if I'm buying a blanket and I don't know these brands, do I really care what the brand is that the collaboration's with? Or do I care about what the pattern is, the color is, the design is? And I don't know the answer to that. I think, for me, it would be more about, what are your patterns and designs? If I was them, I would show the ones that with solid colors in one area and patterns or designs in another area, not break it up by collaborations and originals and stuff like that. So I think, what I'm leading up to is I think that the way they bucketize these things is very me focused, me being Lola Blanket's brand. It is not you focused, you being the customer. Because they expect, their customers to understand their Lola's relationships and business deals with people. So now, we'll start back at the top. We got the Rosewater title. I told you I didn't like it. They have 26,082 reviews. That is unreal. And they show a perfect 5-star score. Now I'm going to click on reviews. It takes me down and I just can't believe how many reviews they have. It's fabulous. And there's 25.4 thousand fives. And they're showing 4s, 3s, 2s, and 1s. They have 42s and 41. So if you average that out, that probably ends up being a 5-star review. And now what I'm looking at here is just people are leaving photos. Oh, it's nice. This is really nice. Fabulous number of reviews. That is just great social proof, right? That speaks for itself quite a bit. Below that, they show the price of $425. They also show free shipping on orders that are $250 plus. I think they're missing out there, right? So this product here is $425. That means I get free shipping. Don't tell me I get free shipping on all orders over $250 plus. Tell me this product is already over $250. Therefore, you get free shipping, right? No need to make people think. The more you make them think, the less they're going to. And then there's a size, and this is called the Lola XL 80 by 90 inches. Now, they also have a large, which is out of stock. They have a medium, which is out of stock. The only one that's in stock is the Lola XL. But why do they call the XL the Lola? All the other ones are large, medium, baby, and travel. They don't put the brand in there. So just adding little things like that just increase the confusion, right? Why is this one Lola XL, right? I have to think like, why is this one different kind of stuff? Already talked about the color swatches, how I do not like it at all. Now they've got a little complete your set product merchandising. I'm looking at the Rosewater blanket. So they're promoting the Rosewater pillow, which I can add for $68. So if I click the add button, that adds it to my cart. No, it doesn't add it to my. So I click the add button. So, this is some app they're using to do this, I'm pretty sure, right? I have to now make a choice of square or lumbar. And when I choose that, it doesn't give me a different product photo. And then I can change the quantity. So that's nice. And then I have to add to cart. When I hit the add button, it doesn't add it. The add button gives me the opportunity to add it. So it's a little confusing to me, right? If I was doing this quickly, I'd click the add button like, oh, I've added it because this little, thing popped out, which I thought was the cart. It is not the cart. It's the add to cart fly out. And then when I click add to cart, then I get the cart fly out. So it's not intuitive that it's a two-step process. And if you're not looking at it quickly, I could easily see myself hitting the add button on the product page, thinking I had added it in the pop out because I thought that was the cart, and then going back to the product page by just clicking on it and then not having added it. So that experience could be refined a little bit. Their add to cart button is by default this I'm gonna guess around a 333 black, so like a soft black. I like the add to cart button to literally be the brightest thing on the page and not a brand color. Usually I pick a red that goes with the brand, but I make that red, I saturate it a little bit more, make it a little bit brighter than you would naturally do if you were trying to match the rest of the colors on the brand. Because what I want to do when I'm doing that is I want the add to cart button to be drop dead obvious. On this page here, I'm looking at it on desktop right now. I have to scroll because all these product swatches and the upsells and everything we're talking about. I have to scroll 2 or 3 times with my mouse wheel before I see the add to cart button. And by making it brighter, I'm gonna see it more if that's what I'm looking for, right? Now, if I was to look at this on mobile, so I'm just gonna change my browser to a mobile view here. Let's see how far I have to scroll on mobile now. Yeah, it's a bunch of scrolling. Making that color pop more is going to be easier for people to find it because it's in the middle of the page. Now, below that, which I just have to say, I think this is stupid. And Shop does this to you automatically, right? You can't control this in your theme, right? So it says 4 interest-free installments or from 38.36 per month with Shop Pay. I do not like the fact that this is pushed into your product page by Shopify, what we actually do for a lot of our stores. Now, there's times I like this to show here, and there are times I do not like it to show. And actually, for this product, I might actually say it's a good thing to show it, right? Because at $425, people might be considering the installment plan because it's not the cheapest product or a gift to get. So maybe it's appropriate here. I just don't like the way that Shopify doesn't give you control unless you go into code to do that. Now, the next thing we have is a couple of product badges. They're obviously not using our fabulous Badgilla, but I like the fact that they've got their own product badges that they've made and they go together really well. They've done a nice job on branding of those, with the exception of the text size is different in them. But one of them is free shipping on orders over 250 plus. Once again, if they were using Badgilla, God, I'm just promoting my brands today. I apologize for that. If they were using our app, though, it has conditional logic that says if this product is over $250, then show a you have free shipping badge. They've got an easy return, so that's nice. And then machine washable, so a care instruction. That's good. They've got a little accordions underneath the product for description, details and sizing, material and care. and shipping. I like those. I don't like the fact that they're under the product form, right? It almost looks like, well, there's a bunch of themes that are doing what they're doing here. So they've got 3/4 width for the images and about a quarter width. It might be 2/3, 1/3, 3/4, 25%. In other words, the product form is on a narrow part of the division between the photos and the product form. And these accordions are underneath that product form. So it's only taking a quarter of the page. When I scroll down on desktop, this will not be a problem on mobile, of course, because it's all stacked. But on desktop, 1/4 of the page has content and it's over to the right, and the other 3/4 is completely blank. And a lot of themes do this by default. And what I do is we actually break this content out into another section. It's probably in the product section. We usually break it out into another section with accordions and make it full width underneath both of the photos and the product form. They're also showing the share icons, which I think have been a complete and utter waste on the internet since 2009. They were great in 2008. People actually used them. No one does anymore. Then they've got a featured quote, which I love: "Softest blankets ever. Can't stop loving and sharing with others," with a name. I'm surprised that's the best review they have, or whatever reason they picked for that. I probably would have picked something a little bit different, but whatever. At least they're doing it, which I like. They've got "You May Also Like." I'm not a fan of that merchandising at all, because here, "You May Also Like," they've got sky blue, creamy cloud, and huckleberry harvest. Those are different colors of the same product I'm on. Those colors are up in the product swatches. I don't need that down here. And they've got the rosewater pillow, and if I click on that, it takes me to that product page, where up higher, I've got the rosewater pillow that I can add to the cart from there. So they're already doing fabulous cross merchandising and bundling type scenarios in the product form. There is no need to repeat that in a link that takes me to another page in the "You May Also Like" section. There's not a lot of stores that I build that I keep the "You May Also Like," which most themes have by default. I wouldn't be surprised if Shopify requires it. We don't use it much. I'm not a fan of it. And the reason for that, to be clear, right, is if you've done a good job building out your shopping experience, you should have confidence that they're on the right page. Now, in this case, we went straight to a product page from an internet search, so you could argue against me on that, and that's a valid point, right? But they're also doing a really good job doing that cross merchandising up higher on the page, where I can see all of the colors. There's like 40 of them up there instead of just the 3 they're showing me, and I can see the matching pillow and all that kind of stuff. Now below that, they've got the reviews, which we already talked about. Then they've got their footer. Their header has a subtle color difference between the background color of the header and the background color of the page, which is nice because it gives a little separation. The footer doesn't. So the footer, you don't actually, it takes a second to realize when the product page ended and when the footer starts, because it lacks that separate. There's not even a horizontal line. So if I was them, I would do a little bit of separation there. And then they've got in their footer, they've got a Lola logo, which is almost impossible to see because of the lack of contrast. They've also got copyright 2026 Lola blankets twice on the page. So there's a little bit of detail work that they can do there. But overall, right, really nice page, right? Laying out the options for all the colors, really good product photography, good cross merchandising with the related pillow, consistency, content, it's all there. I could always critique on other things to improve, but overall, really good job. And that 26,000 reviews speaks for itself. Yeah, that's a wonderful data point. All right, let's move on to Arctic Angel. Going back to Lola for a second, you get a feel for Lola that it's a professional brand. People have thought about it, right? They've got brand colors, there's consistency. The second I go to Arctic Angel, I do not get that feel. Their logo has a lot of gradients in it and a couple of effects. They've got shadows and highlights for gratuitous reasons, right? And it just confuses it a little bit. And, as I look through the rest of the page really quickly, I just get a feel that it's not as polished as the branding of the Lola brand. But let's look at their product page. So they have the product title is "Special Gift for Wife. I Can't Live Without You Gold Heart Necklace." It's normally $119. Today it's $59.95. There's no explanation of why it's so much cheaper. I'm not a fan of brands that just, that's more than 50% off, right? It is 50% off. Why are you showing this full price twice as high as your actual price, and don't call out a sale or anything? It's just, it feels cheesy to me, right? And it probably feels cheesy to me because it probably is cheesy. Now, it may not be. I could be wrong in that, but it just doesn't give me a good feel for this brand. I do not like when I see things like that because I'm like, oh, you're just kind of scammy. May not be true, but it's the feel I get from it. They talk about shipping calculated at checkout. I don't see a reason to put that right next to the price. And then there's a link on it that takes me to the shipping policy and not a shipping calculator. I've just come to this page. Don't take me to a policy page right there. They've got the Shop Pay promo that, like I said, you can't control easily. Now, at this product price of $60, I wouldn't promote that there. But I would look at the data for each specific store. So if you are getting people that are using Shop Pay and especially Shop Pay installments, you might want to promote it on the product page. Now, I fully believe most brands should have Shop Pay installments available and you should show it in the checkout. But there's also times, when I'm working with brands, we actually turn Shop Pay installments off because we don't want to use it for a number of different reasons. Like a real example is like a wholesale store. Other ones are, we just don't need to do this. Our products aren't that expensive and our audience, isn't, that cost conscious on these things. But even if you have Shop Pay on, you should be making conscious decisions of where and when you promote it, right? You should have it in the checkout, but maybe, you don't show it on the product pages or you don't show it on the cart pages and those kind of things. Product has 106 reviews. The reviews are clickable. That was weird. It looked like it did a page refresh when I clicked on reviews. There's no need for that. It should have just taken me down to the bottom, but it did a refresh. They're using looks for their reviews. And I'm just looking here. Yeah, they got a lot of nice reviews. And people are putting a lot of information down. They're typing some stuff out. They're showing photos, so that's nice. Interestingly enough, this product, as I'm looking at it, right? Well, we'll get into that as we talk about the product options. So the next thing is the product options. It says select necklace. And then the options are 14K, so 14 karat white gold finish, and then 18 karat yellow gold finish. So I'm not selecting a necklace. All right. This is misnomered. And this is, I get really picky about these things because people get so distracted, right? You got to spoon feed them everything because they're too busy to like read everything and understand it. The choice they're making here is color or carat. And it could be carat and color, right? Because it's 14K white and 18K yellow. So what it should say for the product option, instead of select necklace, it should say gold finish. The buttons right now say the word gold finish, and they both say gold finish, right? So they're not choosing gold finish. They're choosing the carat and color. So it should say gold finish and then 14K white and 18K gold. And then they also have select gift box. They've got a two-toned gift box and a mahogany style luxury box with LED. When I click on the product options, they actually have photos that match the choices I'm making, which is nice, but they don't show the photo for the mahogany style luxury box with LED. They actually have a nice photo that shows the box. It's crazy. The box actually has a little LED light in it. So I guess when you open it, the light goes on. It's one of those little geeky things. It's kind of cool, right? Like, oh, look, the necklace is all lit up when you open the box kind of thing. But the two-tone box, so like, I don't know what that looks like. And I'm looking farther down. Doesn't show me that. Oh, it's just a cardboard box. Yeah, so I wouldn't even call it like a two-tone box. I would just say, luxury box, yes or no, or something like that, because they're really not explaining what that two-tone is. And it's basically the standard option, right? Do you want the deluxe or the standard kind of thing? You got a quantity box, an add to cart button that's green with a really bad contrasted shopping cart in it. They've got 4 badges underneath, handcrafted in the USA, fast shipping, 2 to 5 business days. You'll love it, guaranteed. 150,000 plus gifts delivered. Those aren't bad. They're nice and consistent. They've got, good consistent branding in those. They've got a little thing, surprise your wife with a unique gift she'll treasure forever. A nice little merchandising. They got a description. Now, in this product form, it's got the product form side of it is, 25 to 33%, 1/4 to 1/3 the width. The other 3/4 to 2/3 is all the product photo. And they've got that scrolling thing that a lot of these themes do, where you scroll down all of the photos, and I'm not a fan of that much, right? The photos, I like the photos to just in the top reflect the product choices that people are making. And then, have a little carousel and there are apps that do this and some themes that do it, So if you pick the 14 karat white gold mahogany style luxury box, there's 2 or 3 photos. You just see those 2 or 3 photos in the strip underneath. You can choose them if you want to go through them. I don't like this list of scrolling photos when they don't apply to the choices that I've made in the product. If there's things you want to talk about, in photos, then you can, put those in like infographics down below. They do not have to be in the photo carousel. And so they've got a long, text description. They've actually got a little infographic there. It's kind of nice, showing dimensions and stuff like that. They've got that, expanding, content thing I talked about. Same feedback as on the other store. I put that all underneath all of this and have it be full width because, this page scrolls way longer because it's doing, this all in 1/4 of the width, not across the full width. Then they've got the email also like. I don't have to tell you how much I hate that. And that's it for this one. Now, what I haven't seen yet, right, is, and we're probably not going to see it because stores aren't doing this kind of stuff yet, but what I haven't seen yet is video reviews. You hear me talk all the time about how much I love video because I do love video. And I would expect to see at some point here someone, some store owner say, hey, here's my product and let me explain why it's great for you, blah, blah, blah. Or a customer testimonial. Hey, I bought this and here's why I love it. Both of these, pages we looked at so far do good photography. They do good copy, barely okay with infographics. I'm a big fan of infographics and none of them have done video yet. So we'll see if that changes over time. So let's move on to our next brand, Prime Choice. Once again, I get the feel it's a cheap brand. I may be wrong in that, but it's just the feeling I get. Colors don't look as put together, thought out to me. Their colors are black and red and highly white, but there's also some green thrown in. They've got some little emoji things going on that aren't really emojis. They're kind of product badges, but emoji looking. I prefer, traditional product badges. Now let's talk about this product. It's in demand, 65 plus bought in the last 24 hours. Once again, I do not like that merchandising. Now, if it's true, that's great for the store, right? That said, I don't believe it's true, and I could be totally wrong in that, but every time I see that, I feel like it's lying. And, is it trying to cause a sense of urgency here, or is it trying to show popularity? I mean, there's better ways to show social proof than that kind of, sketchy thing. What's bad, right? 65 plus bought in the last 24 hours. There's no reason they can't tell me it was 68, right? And then a minute from now, if someone buys one, I see it go to 69. If the content looked a little more dynamic, I might believe it more. That 65 plus makes you think like, it's kind of, if I came back tomorrow, would it still say the same thing? Now, it does have 2,169 reviews. That's nice. The reviews are not clickable up there in the product form. That is not good. If I go down to their reviews, the reviews widget is way too close to the content above it. It's literally, there's no margin or padding between it. So that's not implemented well. It looks to me like it's judged me off the top of my head. Now, 4.98 out of 5 with 592 reviews. Up top, it said 2,169 reviews. Down below, it says 592 reviews. So I do not trust this brand at all. And if I look at the photos, these are not for the product that I'm looking at. Yeah, their review stuff is all messed up, right? They're pulling in products that aren't applicable for this one. Some of them are, some of them aren't. And the counts are off. No trust at all. Now, the next thing I see is, so it's on sale, normally $140, now $95. And I get to choose my set, silver necklace and luxury gift box, or gold necklace and luxury gift box. So in other words, they both come with a luxury gift box. I'm not choosing my set, I'm choosing my color once again. So this should say, choose your color or choose your finish, silver, gold. Keep it simple. Let people understand the choices they're making. If you love the luxury gift box, which I told you before, it's the same one from the other product, right? I told you before, that's kind of cool. It's got this little LED light. Talk about that. Have an infographic about it. Have a video about it. Have an animated GIF about it. But don't put it in the product choices when both have the exact same luxury gift box in their choices. Their add to cart button is a green with a funky effect when I hover that I don't like. It's taking the drop shadow and putting a white line over the drop shadow. It's kind of weird. Now they do something here which is kind of cool. So today's February 1st, and it says if I order it today, the order will be ready February 5th to 7th, and the order will start to be shipped then, and then it'll be delivered by February 9th to 11th. That's my estimated arrival date. So that's a really nice little element there. Because if I'm ordering this for Valentine's Day, I want to make sure I get it in time for Valentine's Day. And they're giving me confidence there. Now, I do wonder why it takes them 4 to 6 days to fulfill an order if I place it today, but that's another thing. And then they got some little, I told you before about their product badges. Proudly American, shipping is on us, satisfaction guarantee. Proudly American, well, is that the company or the product? So it's unclear to me. Is it made in America or is it an American company? Both those are valid points, but I don't know which one it is. Next thing, shipping is on us. And it's us, capital letters, US with an exclamation point. Right after it says proudly American. So I'm thinking USA, not us, right? And now I have to think shipping is on us. Oh, Shipping's on them, therefore it's free. Why don't they just say it's free shipping? Right. And the last one, satisfaction guarantee. I think grammatically it should be satisfaction guaranteed. Right. I'm being real nitpicky there, but I think it's those kind of details that count. And now I can see the product is made in the USA elsewhere. So I don't know if that's probably Americans, the company or the product kind of thing. So and they're repeating the value props with the little emojis down below and text also. So it's kind of redundant information. But they've got some stuff down there. They got a little bit of copy. I could definitely see them making an infographic that talks about their luxury gift box, right? They actually don't say anywhere that it's got a little LED light on it. I don't think. Oh, luxury gift box, mahogany box with built-in LED spotlight. So they do highlight it. I would make that an infographic to really highlight it. And what I would do in that infographic, they've got a graphic that shows the box open. You can see the light. I would just augment that light with, Photoshop, make little crayon drawings of light emerging out of the light and a little arrow pointing. LED light lights up when you open up the box, highlighting your gift or something to that effect to really bring that point home. So that's enough for this one. Once again, no videos. Moving on to the next one, Pure Bliss. This is the luxury towel warmer. So it says Pure Bliss, trademark, luxury towel warmer. I am so not a fan of putting your trademarks on your website, right? And when you talk to your trademark lawyer, they will tell you while you're getting the trademark implemented, it really helps the lawyers when you put the TM on the website, which is absolutely true. It doesn't mean it helps your customers, and I actually think it makes brands look immature. If you go to Nike or Apple, you will not see a TM on their website. Now, they will have copyright and stuff like that in the footer, but they don't put every time you see the word Nike or Apple, it doesn't say TM. Now, this one has 27 reviews, so a lot less reviews. Let's go down to the reviews. They allow us to rate the product from the product page, which I'm not a fan of. I always just do that through email so you control who's reviewing the product. They're showing their 1-star reviews, so kudos to them for doing that. So they got reviews. That's good. Let's go back to the top. Price of this one's $149. I get 2 colors, white and brushed gold and white and brushed silver, which means I'm choosing between the highlight color or accent color of gold or silver. So they don't need to say white and gold. It actually says white and brushed gold or white and brushed silver. They could say, accent color, gold, silver, right? Now, if I click on it, it changes the photo. So that's nice. They don't restrict because they've got some infographics in their carousel. And like I said before, I would think about putting those below in the product description. So I don't have to scroll through them consciously clicking all of them. I could see them as I scrolled the page, which is a more intuitive way. And they have lots of infographics. There's a lot of good stuff there, but they're making the customer work to see it. And they're showing the height of this thing. It looks much bigger than I would have thought. It's just probably bigger than I thought it was going to be. The description, they have a read more thing for the description, and then they have a long description. They could break that up, but it's totally fine. Their text is really small. Oh, they've even got so they're doing TMs and they're doing the little R circle things, right? Clutters their content. Now they've got a frequently bought together. You can add the bundle to the cart. It's not bad. There's no merchandising of why they're bought together, but it's okay. And then now they are showing their infographics down below in the product page as I scroll. So that's good. Probably means you could get rid of some of the ones higher up. And they've got nice, lifestyle photography showing happy people using the product in a bunch of different situations. And then they have a you may also like, I hate that. And then they got to follow us. There is no need for that on this page and it's also not working. I think it's supposed to be showing a Instagram feed and it's not. And that is it for that one. Once again, no videos. 2 more to go, folks. So here we are. It's another blanket. This is a cotton weighted blanket from Barabee. Once again, highly branded, which makes it feel more cohesive. They're using white in a couple funky spaces that I don't like it because it kind of pops a little too much in my mind. They put some of their content on a white background, which helps on the contrast, but it's highlighting things that maybe they shouldn't. Maybe they're bringing your eye to the wrong place on the page because of that. Now, they have reviews. I love it. They have product testimonials or customer testimonial reviews. Absolutely fantastic. Back to the top, though. This product's on sale for $179 instead of the normal $199. 2,809 reviews. I click on that. They're not showing the tools to allow me to see how many 5-star, 4-star, 3-star reviews they've had. So I don't know if they're showing their negative reviews or not. They got a little mini description before you get into your product choices. Their product choices are the weight of the blanket, because it's a weighted blanket, right? 10 pound, 15 pound, 20 pound. And they have a weight size guide, which weighted blanket calculator. Okay, so they're helping you make that decision. They're really nicely done. And then they've got color. If I was them, I would turn their color. They have color swatches that are just the color, like the hex code. I would actually show a snippet of the product there to show a little bit of the texture that shows up there, but not bad. Yeah, because they have a color blue spruce, and the swatch for morning matcha isn't that different. But when you see the actual products, you can see the definite difference in color. And they are, as you select a color, only showing the product photos for that color. So that's another nice touch there. Oh, save 10% during our Valentine's Day sale. Nice. It's not a different color. I would make that a little more prominent in color and maybe put a sense of urgency on when that Valentine's Day sale ends. Free shipping, easy returns, and 1-year warranty. That's in text. I would make those product badges. Complete your sleep set. So merchandising other products. If I check that's nice. I check a box for the ones that I want. It lets me choose the choices. Oh, there's only one choice for color on that one. So there's no need to show the selector. On the other product they're recommending, there is color choices, so they should show the selector. And my cart button gets updated. It says add to cart 3 because now I've selected a total of 3 products and the total price. So that is really nicely done. I'm not sure what app they're using for that, but I like what they're doing there. Now they've got some product badges for helps you sleep better, reduces nighttime wake ups, decreases anxiety, increases focus. So all the value props, they're consistent in branding. Those are nicely done. And now I'm back to my favorite part, which is video reviews. I'm going to click on one. It goes full screen, and it's a funny little thing. So really nicely done. There's 4 of them there. 4 different people of different ages, genders, and backgrounds. So that's nice. Now we have more product they got a little tab functionality. Yes, I've got a tab thing where I can learn about care, but then I also have to click read more in that. So I've already said I want to read about care. I wouldn't do the read more, read less. They're trying to control the page height, right? Kind of thing. But this store's doing the exact same thing all the other ones are doing, where they're scrolling, they're only using a limited part of the page on the copy side of stuff, and the photo side of stuff it has its own thing. When you do those things, you end up having all these extra click things and scrolling up and down and where am I? And once again, that's not important on mobile. It's all stacked on mobile. So I'm critiquing a desktop only thing, which isn't that important, right? And then more product badges, free shipping and easy returns, 30-day peace of mind, 1-year warranty. Those are nice. So they're big into iconography, which is not a bad thing. And then they've got some infographics or some, value props like it aids sleep, 81% sleep through the night when using a weighted blanket, 60% feel less anxious. So really nice stuff there. In the news, they've got a quote I like that. So they're showing the brands, right? We all do the logos for the different brands. And then they do a quote for that brand or from that brand. That's nicely done. And then they have a benefits thing. They talk about it. When you hover over stuff, the images change. That's fancy, but the images don't add any value to that conversation. So it's gratuitous, which I'm not a fan of. I like the content, just not the functionality of the hover. Made from sustainably farmed organ. Yeah, so they're doing a really good job in explaining their product once, twice, a third time, right? So what they're trying to do is find out what message works for you and what do you care about and give you that information. Also got an FAQ section. That's really nice. Back to the reviews. Below that, award-winning proven results. And now they're showing awards they've won with brands you would know. Oh, that's interesting. So they got 2 review widgets. That's not good. And they function differently. And it's just confusing because they're different. Why are you showing the same thing twice, 2 different ways? There's no need for that. It just confuses people. And then after reviews, they're continue to sell. Nicely done. Oh, these are other products. That's not nicely done. Because I thought they were still selling the current product, and they are in one of them, but the other 2 things are other products. Yeah, there's no need for that. In my opinion, right? I'm not a fan of starting your shopping experience over from the product page. But this is a really nice page. I like what they're doing a lot, probably because they're doing video and other things. But it's obvious they care about their product. They're spending the time and energy to make the content, and it shows through. So the last one, Master and Dynamic, is headphones. Just scrolling quickly, really high quality photography and elements. I don't say this often, but probably too many photos and not enough other content. But we'll get to that. So at the top, We have active noise canceling wireless headphones, $600. They're sold out. All the colors are sold out. You can engrave them, enhance your purchase with Clyde protection. They've got Klarna. I don't like those things up by the add to cart button, right? Either one of them. If you want to upsell them or give them purchase options, have them do that after they make the product choice. Now, that said, Klarna might make sense because it's a $600 set of headphones. It might make sense on this page. And then they've got some product icons. They've also got a compare headphones element here. If you're not sure this is the right one for you, that is really well done, right at the right place. After the add to cart button, after the value prop, still not sure, come check out our other options to reinforce the decision you've made. Well done. If I click on back up to the product swatches for color, the images all change based on the color I selected, so that's nicely done. Then they've got some tabs. Oh, no, the tabs aren't tabs. They're hyperlinks. That's not well done because it's confusing. They look like they were going to be tabs, not navigation links. And then once I do them, the page jumps and I'm like, where was I? What's going on? I would just let them scroll on that one. But going back up to that content, now I'm just kind of confused, right? Because there's so much content on this page and these links just jump me around. I'm like, where did I just go? Let's see. Oh, do we have a video here? We have a YouTube video. Nice. Now they got a YouTube video. It looks polished, really polished. So that's nicely done. I would have that autoplay if I could, if possible. Then they talk about free shipping, free returns, product protection, intuitive ANC. I don't know what that means, but they explain it. I don't like what they did with their image there. If blurred and fuzzed out part of it just doesn't look good. But it's one of the few photos that aren't just spectacular. And then they just start talking about different value props, and they got good graphics. They're doing a little bit of text, a little bit of imagery, really nicely done. Yeah, this is nice. Really nice. I'm scrolling through all sorts of stuff, right? That is just good content. We've got a clickable image where I can see, value props for the product. That's always nice when you do those. It's just one image, and then certain themes and certain apps do it where you can just add the content in. You can say, right here, I want to put a little plus symbol. And when they click on it, it says blah, blah, blah. In this case, it's fit and comfort. Adjustable memory foam headband offers optimal fit and comfort. It takes a little work to wire that up, but that's the kind of work that helps customers, click on things and interact with your brand and understand it better. And now they just have a bunch of random images. They have too many images on this page. They have a lot of really good ones. And as they're telling their story and talking about this value prop and that value prop, reinforcing it with an image is a good thing. But now they're saying, oh, we got a lot of other photography that we took. Why don't we just throw this on this page, even though we're done telling the story, right? Oh, and there's more story. And this one here is with brands. So Gizmodo, what the experts are saying, so just like the other link we were just on a minute ago, where they're doing the quote from each one of the brands, I don't like this one as much as I like the other one because the other one showed all the logos, and this one's showing the name, not the logo of the brand. And when it showed all the logos, I could click on a logo and it'd tell me that quote. This one I have to scroll through. So still really nice. Like that's good merchandising. The presentation on the previous brand on the weighted blanket was a little bit better. Not sure which headphones are right for you. Compare all products. That's nicely done and nicely placed. Whole bunch of specs. Oh, I love this in the box, right? It shows you little icons of everything that is in the box because not only do you get wireless headphones, you get USB-C to USB-C cable. You're like, well, wait a second, I don't have a C. Well, you also get the USB-C to USB-A adapter. You get USB-C to 3.5 audio cable. You get a 3.5 to a quarter-inch adapter, light adapter. So they show you every single element that comes in there. So you don't have to guess, does it have the cables or connections that I need? It shows you all the ones it comes with. Elevate your listening experience. These are upsells for this product. I like this, but I don't like this. And what I mean by that is I like the fact that these products are related to the product that I'm purchasing. What I don't like is if I click on it, it takes me off to that product page and I've lost the product that I was on, the context. So it's not like there's click here to add this to your order. You click it, you go off to that product page. And then if you haven't added the other product in yet to your cart, you've got to go back and find it and those kind of things. So nice that the products are contextual to the one I'm purchasing. Their accessories. I call this a linear shopping experience. What I would do if I was them is I would, have these 4 products that I'm merchandising. I would have them add the headphones to the cart. And then once they add it to the cart, I would say, hey, would you like to look at our accessories for this headphones? And if they say yes, I would take them to a collection of those 4 pages. We actually have an app that does that. I am just doing shameless plugs today, but our linear shopping experience app does exactly that. Ask the question once they've placed the order for this product. Do you want to look at compatible accessories? And then they have documentation, as in you can download PDFs for different things. That's nicely done. And, at the very end, need support. We're here to assist you every step of the way. Support center. So if you still have a product question, feel free to contact us. So this $600 set of headphones has a product page that justifies that price point. Not that the product page is the only thing that justifies your price point, but a lot of times I look at top end premium, products, and I'm like, your product page doesn't justify your product price. Your product may justify it, but your product page doesn't. And here's a case where you're paying a lot more for the product because there's a lot of quality in it, but the product page shows you that quality. Really well done. So that is our 6 products that I wanted to go over today. Hopefully, by listening to me rant for a little bit of time, you can think about your product pages and also how you're merchandising for your different holidays and events, and also how you're enriching your product data for better discoverability, and also how you're thinking about ADA compliance and everything you're doing. I know it's a lot of messages, right? We went over a lot of stuff. If you're still listening, thanks for staying with me for so long.
You've been listening to the Shopify Solutions podcast with Scott Austin. This podcast is brought to you by Jade Puma, a Shopify-focused agency located in San Diego, California. If you like what you heard, please leave a review and subscribe on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. If you'd like to work with Scott on your brand, email him at scott@jadepuma.com.